guys, it's Mitchell, and today I wanted to go ahead and give you guys some initial impressions of the Zhiyun Crane 2 with my Nikon D750. Specifically, I haven't seen anyone talking about the Zhiyun Crane with the Nikon D750, and that's my primary camera. Yesterday, I went out, I shot a bunch of different B-roll with my Zhiyun Crane 2, my D750, and my 24-70 2.8G. I'm gonna go ahead and jump into some of my just initial impressions of it, but before we do that, join my Facebook group, Travel Tubers. It's all about people that travel, create digital content. We have everything from drone laws to where to find camera shops in different cities, people sharing their stories and their YouTube channels, and it's just a really cool place online to be a part of and contribute what you make when you travel abroad. Links to that and more will be in the description down below. I encourage everybody to go ahead and check that stuff out. But without further ado, let's jump into some of the footage I took and my impressions with the D750 and the Zhiyun. The very first thing I want to get out of the way is the actual size of the Zhiyun Crane 2. This is a big gimbal. My friend Brock from Brock in the World, I'll link his channel down below. He has the Zhiyun Crane 1 that he uses with his Sony a7S II, and that seems to be considerably smaller in regards to the size of the metal arms and the motors, and even the girth of the handle itself is a lot smaller Crane 2. Because of the size, the lack of dual handles, which I will eventually be getting on my trip back to the US, it makes it hard to get smooth panning movement only using your wrists as the pivot point, if that makes any sense. And I know that I haven't tuned the motors yet to my liking, and I'm still very new at using this gimbal, but the panning motion I got from it felt very unnatural, and I know that's a big criticism of gimbals compared to Steadicams, but that's just something that I found just right off the bat, that using it to get panning footage without dual handles was pretty difficult. To actually set up and balance my D750 and my 24-70 wasn't that big of a hassle. Now I can get it set up in about 15 minutes from it being completely unassembled to my camera being on there fully balanced, and there is absolutely no issues with the Crane 2 balancing the Nikon 24-70. One thing I do want to mention though is because of the size and the weight of the D750 and the 24-70, it does make holding the Crane very, very cumbersome and not the most ergonomic thing to do. The application that connects your phone to the Crane 2 is intended for the Zhiyun Smooth Q. It's not specifically for the Crane 2. You can adjust parameters inside of the app connected to your phone, but it is not a specific for this gimbal application. There's still a function to use it with the Smooth Q. Now, another thing is Zhiyun actually advertises the Crane 2 as being compatible with Nikon D-series cameras. Now, I'm not sure if they mean the electronic part, which would allow me to adjust f-stop or iris for you filmmakers, and follow focus. I'm not sure if they're going to be adding that later down the line, or if us Nikon video shooters, all 12 of us out there, are just going to be shit out of luck or not. Another thing is that the power and the mode buttons on the device feel really cheaply made. I don't know how to describe it, but they do not feel as premium as other aspects of the gimbal, which is really a shame because you interface with the power and the mode button quite a bit actually. My second nitpick or minus of the device is the focus wheel is so big on the side of the gimbal that it really gets in the way of holding it, and if I can remove it without damaging the rest of the gimbal, I definitely would, especially since my D750 is not supported with the gimbal. And I just find that if I'm trying to balance the gimbal with using my arms as pivot points to hold it, it really makes hand placement very difficult. And it's something that I hope is removable It looks like it could just be an Allen key to remove it, and if so, that would be great. Go get a rubber grommet or some type of stopper to seal up the rest of the unit. But those were just some of my initial impressions. So if you are a Nikon shooter and you have questions about the Zhiyun Crane with a Nikon camera, or if you're just curious about the Zhiyun Crane 2 in general, go ahead, drop your comments in the description down below. If you have questions about where to find it, that would be something that you would look for on my Facebook group, being Travel Tubers, because I did post where I bought this in Hanoi on travel in there. And I actually got it for cheaper in Vietnam than I would in America. Surprise, surprise. So I hope everybody enjoyed this video. Like, comment, subscribe, share.